Opening up week 7 of our NFL team previews here on bet.nola.com, powered by the Datitude Podcast. I am Jim Derry, and today it's the Houston Texans. Oh, the mighty Houston Texans. Remember when they were that team that every year they seemed to go like 10-6 and make it into the first round of the playoffs and just kind of go their mighty way? Yeah, well, they're not that anymore. They're coming off of back-to-back 4-win seasons, and they have a new coach in Lovie Smith. The Desean Watson saga is behind them. Will that mean anything for this team? Will they go over or under their total wins of 4.5, which is what Caesars Sportsbook has them at? Let's start with Davis Mills before we get to Lovie Smith, and the quarterback that was thrust into a starting role because of injuries to Tyrod Taylor, and then I guess they just wanted to see what they had in Davis Mills, and why not when you only win 4 games in a season? And, well, he did okay, but they were still the worst offense by yards in the NFL last year. Will they get better this year? Well, they have a new backfield, and Davis Mills has some weapons behind him, namely in the face of Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead. But the guy I want to focus on here is a rookie by the name of Damian Pierce. And he's kind of shown some things in the preseason that he could be a starting running back and a legit guy for this offense, coming from Florida, being drafted in the 4th round. Quite a steal for these Texans. And of the 4th-round picks, he could be one that not only sticks, but could be a big-time player for this team at some point in his career. Will it be this year? Well, that's going to be tough to do behind an offensive line that is ranked in the bottom half of the NFL, somewhere around 20 to 24, depending on where you look. Will they be able to move the football? Well, you got a defensive-minded coach in Lovie Smith. And speaking of defense, well, they had the 31st ranked defense. So you had the 32nd ranked offense and the 31st ranked defense, and that adds up to 4 wins. This team will be improved this year. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Texans because I just don't know that people are going to be rushing out to the windows and to their phones to be betting on an over or an under from the Texans and whether there's anything else to bet on. So let's look at their schedule and see what we think. And taking a look at it right away, starting off with Indianapolis and at Denver. Okay, do we think that's going to be anything but 0-2? I mean, there's a winnable game there at Chicago before they get the Chargers at home. That's most likely a loss, and then at Jacksonville. So if you're going to bet this over, you're really hoping this team starts 2-3. The problem with this is, even though Chicago and Jacksonville are both around their level, both probably a little bit better than this Texans team, they're both on the road. So to go 2-3 through this stretch is maybe asking a lot, and pulling off an upset somewhere else, maybe not likely. I don't like this early bye week in week 6, and then you go to the Raiders, you play the Titans, you play the Eagles. Ooh, that's tough. But then you get a little bit of a break at Giants, Washington, games they can win. At Miami, they'll probably be about a 6 or 7 point underdog, depending on how the season starts. And then the NFL, just like they did with Russell Wilson, going back to Denver in his first week. Desean Watson now, of course, you say they couldn't have known that that's when Desean Watson was scheduled to come back, but that is when he's scheduled to come back. Playing Cleveland, December 4th, at Houston. Interesting game. We don't know what the Browns will be then. Then at Dallas, Kansas City, at Tennessee. All 3 of those probably very unlikely to win. Jacksonville and at Indianapolis. So before we get to the expert, my thoughts on the Texans are this. I'm not playing them any way, shape, or form. I'm not playing them to win the division. I'm not playing them to any kind of crazy conference odds, Super Bowl odds, playoff odds, whatever. I'm just not touching this team. I mean, if I have to take a pick, I'm going to take the over because that 4.5 is low. They have won 4 games back-to-back. I do think they're slightly improved. The schedule is not ridiculously tough. I mean, when you win 4 games 2 years in a row, there's no schedule that's going to be easy. So if you're begging to bet on the Texans and you want to go out and bet on every game, and we're going to tell you what we think on every game. If I had to pick one, I think they'll win 5 games, but I don't love it. I'm not racing to the window, and I want to see what the expert thinks. Rolling along, and when I say rolling along, I mean we are in the fourth quarter of our NFL team previews here on the Datitude Podcast, bet.nola.com. We have our expert here with us, Adam Chernoff of covers.com, here to tell me how right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. He's gonna have an opinion.
Somewhere in the middle. It'll be
somewhere in the middle. There you go. Well, you know what? I'm in the middle on these Houston Texans. It's a situation where I think they are a little better than they were last year. I'm not a huge Lovie Smith fan. I'm sure Bears aren't either. But when you look at what they have, and I think Davis Mills with a year under his belt, the running back core isn't at the bottom maybe like it was. I don't think the offense is at the bottom like it was. The offensive line is slightly below average. I think this is a team I think that could be a little bit better. So if I had to take one way or the other, I'd take the over 4.5. But it's not one that I'm racing out to Vegas and saying, please give me a value here.
I think that's a good interpretation of it. I believe Davis Mills is getting a little bit too much credit for how he finished down the stretch. Schedule was pretty easy that he faced and had some things working in his favor as well. So I don't know how that looks over the course of a season. Pep Hamilton wasn't even in the NFL. Couldn't get a job within the league, had to go elsewhere to alternative leagues, and now we're kind of giving him a lot of credit too. So this is still a team that a lot of question marks. They're priced at 4.5 wins for a reason. And defensively, I mean, it is rough in the backfield, to say the least. So really not too much I can offer here. I think the price is pretty fair for how bad of a football team this is.
You brought up their schedule, and it's not a tough one at all, which is one of the reasons why I like the over if I had to play one or the other. But it does start tough. Colts and Broncos. Bears aren't that tough, obviously, but Chargers. So 3 out of the first 4 out of the gate. You're probably staring. They'll be heavy dogs in 3 of those 4 games. Then the Raiders are on the horizon, and they get Titans and Eagles. So I guess the thing that worries me more than anything about the Texans is this opening part of the schedule where you could start 1-6 and be looking up and trying to get to 5 some kind of way is not an easy proposition.
No, it's not. And you mentioned Lovie Smith in there. I mean, I don't know what he is at this point. Really don't love him as a head coach. Anytime you get that defensive-minded guy, it's just – I've said it all preview series. It's just not something I look forward to betting consistently. So it is a tough one.
Professional handicappers do not like defensive head coaches. They don't.
Nope, so this is as sort of antiquated and stubborn as it gets in the league right here.
Well, the opposite of a defensive head coach coming tomorrow, that's Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts. And I got a feeling not only are we going to have opinions on the Colts, but I got a feeling we're going to have disagreement, and I'll tell you why tomorrow. Make sure you tune in.
Love it.